Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for this roundtable and special announcement on Zoom and Facebook Live. Today, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens is joined by Jason Moore, the Senior Manager of Corporate Communications and Customer Service at the City of Windsor, Brian Schwab, member of the ownership group of the Windsor Spitfires Foundation, Lisa Collodi, the Executive Director of the Windsor Essex Community Foundation, Kevin Spafford, Manager of Social Impact for Green Shield Canada, Chris Karuna, franchise owner for Tim Hortons, and Eric Griggs, the District Vice President for Windsor at TD Canada Trust. They are joined by representatives of our local media, while everyone else is able to join us via Facebook live stream from the safety of their own home. Mayor Dilkens will provide some introductory remarks momentarily, followed by a conversation with today's panelists. We will conclude with questions from the media. A reminder that participants must turn your own microphone and camera on and off using the Zoom buttons in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Panelists, please ensure that your camera is enabled for the entire session, but only turn your microphone on when speaking. Media members, please use the chat function in the Zoom screen to request a question. And once the conversation has wrapped up, media members will be called on to ask questions and your microphone and video will be enabled. Thank you for your attendance and participation today. I'll now turn things over to Mayor Dilkens to start us off. Go ahead, Your Worship.
Well, thank you very much, Dana. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. And I'm really pleased to be here on behalf of the City of Windsor and the residents all across the city to recognize organizations that have helped to keep this community steady and helped to keep it safe over the past year. There's no doubt that COVID-19 has impacted our community in many, many ways, with individuals and families and businesses facing extreme uncertainties. But I'll tell you, in these challenging times, many have found ways to lift one another up through charitable giving and impactful initiatives. And I've said this over and over that Windsor Essex, we really are a place that takes care of one another. And we saw that right away when the pandemic first struck about a year ago. Organizations and individuals, they stepped up to support one another with everything from food hampers to grocery gift cards, free hand sanitizer, and donations of personal protective equipment. The City of Windsor has remained committed to supporting businesses and organizations and individuals from the very start of the pandemic, often working in partnership with those joining me on the call today. And for almost a year, we have redeployed municipal workers to organizations like the Unemployed Help Center, where our team members can be a helping hand as these non-for-profit organizations support those in our city who face significant economic pain as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, before we get into the meat of the presentations from the panelists online today, I wanted to take a moment to provide a quick announcement about how the City of Windsor is continuing to support the non-for-profit and charitable sectors as the pandemic continues. And certainly, we are first launching a dedicated invitation portal for charitable organizations to contact the city to arrange for free access to use Lanspeary Park for community building and charitable purposes. And we know that many organizations were just, quite frankly, simply unable to host their traditional annual fundraising events as they normally would have in 2020. And so we are inviting all of those organizations who are interested in using Lanspeary Park for some kind of charitable fundraising initiative this summer to get in touch with us as soon as possible. And it can be used for a food hall, a craft market, a beer garden, cultural displays, or any other fundraising event where the proceeds will go towards supporting local charities that have been helping out so many in the past year. And this is just another way that the City of Windsor can support all of these efforts. So applications will open today and they will close on March the 19th. And any charitable organization looking for the details, all you have to do is visit our website at citywindsor.ca. Second, I'm pleased to announce that the City of Windsor will extend our arrangement with the Unemployed Help Center to continue to allow them to use the 80 Knox Herman Recreation Complex and our staffing component until July 31st of this year in order to fully realize the potential of last year's June 27th Miracle Community Donation event, where over 2.5 million tons of food were collected. It's all being sorted, organized, and it continues to be given out to those who need a little helping hand in our community. And as a result of the work of the Unemployed Help Center, nearly 100 local food banks and programs, as well as thousands of households, will have benefited from the donations collected through this food drive. Now, the City of Windsor, we are proud to do our part to continue to allow all of these folks to access the space and the staff to undertake continued operations. And we're working hand in hand with the community groups and all of the corporate partners as we continue to find innovative ways to provide relief and support to those who need it most at this particular time. And that's why I'm pleased to be able to host this update today, highlighting the philanthropic spirit and the generosity that has been so strong and ongoing in Windsor, Essex since the start of the public health crisis. And I'll tell you, working together, the people on the call today have made a difference in our community, and we greatly value their partnership. So I'd like to start by turning the floor over to Jason Moore, our Senior Manager of Corporate Communications and Customer Service at the City of Windsor, to kick off the presentation today. Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is great to be on the Zoom with you and some of the truly special people representing their companies who continue to make a difference for our community through their commitments, their collaborations, and of course, their fundraising. And I figure it's always best to lead big. So check out this who's who of household names on my first slide, if it's there. Each and every one of them has been a tremendous partner to our city. And you know, it really should be Nora Romero and Haley Swanig on this Zoom representing corporate communications and our sponsor Windsor program, as they are the driving force behind our efforts to work with community partners like those on this Zoom to enhance what the city has to offer its residents. For example, we have back-to-back slides showcasing one of the fantastic fundraisers we've had in support of our first responders, a golf tournament for the Can-Am Police Fire Games, which is still on schedule for 2022. We'll have another golf event this year and one more next year, and our fundraising goal will top $200,000. Prior to COVID-19, we had been working together for years on other things like the annual Mayor's Walk and City Birthday Celebration, open streets, bright lights, naming rights, parks and trails improvements, and much more. But about a year ago, COVID hit, and many of those projects were put on hold. Sponsor Windsor didn't stop though, because the supporters of our city, and we happily deal with a couple hundred each year, didn't stop looking for ways to improve things. There was the New Year's Eve celebration, the Families to Families grocery gift card initiative, delivery of food services and snacks to frontline workers and essential services, direct funding for local grassroots initiatives like mask making and homelessness support, helping facilitate grant opportunities for local charities, Bright Lights Windsor citywide edition, supporting mental health initiatives as well. The list goes on, and I'm sure you'll hear more about some of those topics in a moment. The city role in each of those is sometimes as simple as sharing contacts to connect the right people, and other times doing some much heavier lifting to help bring the programs to fruition. In some cases, the dollars flow to the city on a project, and in other cases, the dollars go directly to the projects. Either way, it's the community that benefits when we all work together. I won't take any more time. I just want to thank everyone on this Zoom and all the Sponsor Windsor supporters out there for all they do. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully before you know it, we will be back to partnering on great COVID-free initiatives like the next Open Streets. Check out sponsorwindsor.ca if you want to get behind or propose any initiative. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks very much, Jason. I appreciate you being here today. And I'd like to introduce next Brian Schwab of the Windsor Spitfires Foundation. And Brian is a member also of the Spitfires Ownership Group. And back in April, you might recall that the Spitfires Foundation partnered with the Soltz Family Foundation, the Windsor Essex Community Foundation, and the City of Windsor to present the Families to Families initiative. And I'll leave it to Brian to present the details, but needless to say, it is really the kind of generosity that this family showed and this organization showed that helped put food on the tables of so many and hope in the hearts of so many in the community who were struggling in the early days of COVID-19. And when the calls started coming in from the Soltz family saying, hey, we want to do something and we'd like to see if we can leverage some other funding in the community, I called Brian up, and I think, Brian, it probably took about 5 minutes before you called your entire ownership group and got back to me saying, we're in. And it's that kind of spirit that really made a difference in the community. I'm grateful for the support that you showed. The community's grateful. And I'll turn the floor over to you to talk about the initiative.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I believe we have a little bit of a video presentation. I don't know if Dana can run that for us right now. Thanks very much, Dana. You know, the Windsor Spitfires have been part of the Windsor community for for 50 years. We were founded in 1971, so that was 50 years ago. And we, as the slide said, you know, community comes first, and we depend on the community to support the team. And we think it's our responsibility and our privilege, frankly, to be able to give back to the community however we can. And as the presentation said, it's not just necessarily giving money away, although we do, as the slide said, over $125,000 last year, but it's also doing the small things. So participating in the Christmas parade, both here in Windsor and in Kingsville this year, you know, supporting the Windsor Cancer Center Foundation through the Grow On campaign. We were one of the top teams in that competition, and helped raise over $250,000 for the Windsor Cancer Center Foundation. Doing small things. Our coaching staff and some of the other staff, you know, went and visited children playing hockey on pond hockey during the holidays and after the holidays, gave away Spitfire hats and gloves and pucks, and you know, doing a number of things like that. We feel very privileged to be in a situation where we can do these types of things, and we think it is our responsibility. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to say hi to everybody and the recognition you're providing today. And we look forward to doing more in 2021. Hopefully there'll be a hockey season, knock wood, and certainly in the fall for a full hockey season with hopefully that we'll be able to play. So anyways, thank you very much, Mayor Dilkens.
Thanks very much, Brian, and to you and the entire ownership group for the spirit that you bring and partnering and helping the community. And I know, quite frankly, the community is just waiting to get back into the WFCU once they get their vaccinations and see some great Spitfire hockey action once again in 2021.
Mayor, I was there yesterday. I saw a lot of people getting their vaccinations, and quite a lot of folks getting it. So hopefully that goes smoothly, and it's wonderful to use that facility for as many things as we can. I know it was used actually as the original drop-off center for the food drive as well. So that's terrific. So any way we can help, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you know, Brian, actually it goes back even earlier than that, where when we started, remember early in the pandemic, there was a rush for PPE. And we put out a call to the entire community asking them if anyone had any PPE that you could spare and donate. We were collecting PPE in the very early days at the WFCU Center. And then, as you mentioned, the Miracle 27 event, a couple million pounds of food went there and had to be moved out as we started getting into a less restrictive zone and opened the facility. But people have asked me, Brian, if we're going to use WFCU as a vaccination site, does that mean Spitfire hockey can't happen? And I've been sure to reassure them that if the league allows some play to happen, even if we're using it as a vaccination site, hockey can still happen at the WFCU in the main bowl. So we're excited to get you back on the ice as soon as the league allows play to continue, and the community is excited to see the Spitfires back in action.
Go Spits, go.
Yeah, this leads me to my next guest, Lisa Collodi, who is the Executive Director of the Windsor Essex Community Foundation. And Lisa and her team have not missed a single beat since the onset of COVID-19. And in the face of many challenges, the foundation has been responsible for the flow of considerable grants and other funds to communities in need across the region. And of course, many organizations have benefited from their guidance and assistance. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Lisa has to say and what she's going to share with us now. Lisa, thanks for being here.
Hi, Mayor Dilkens, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation, to take a pause and show gratitude to all the great community partners. And some of my board members are online and they send their greetings as well. The Community Foundation has been in Windsor, Essex for almost 40 years, and I do have a slide deck that Dana's going to put up for us. And, you know, when the pandemic hit, like many others, we went home and we panicked a little bit. And then we had to look at the work that we do and have a conversation to see how we can move forward. And when we were at home gathering and gathering our thoughts and looking at what was happening in the community, the phone started to ring, and we received a ton of phone calls. Not only myself, but other charity leaders across the sector started reaching out to say, what is happening? What does this mean? How are we going to serve the people that we serve? And in many cases, it's the most vulnerable in our community. So what we did is we decided to do a short survey. We didn't want to make things harder for people, but 48 charities responded to our survey. And you can see what we learned here is that everyone was forced to reevaluate the work they were doing. But what we saw was most of the organizations that were serving our most vulnerable were really in dire straits. Many were forced to close, to work remotely, to look towards technology for support. But someone like Life After 50, who gathers seniors in their space, what were they going to do? And what we saw was that there was an increased need in the community and less resources. And the biggest need that was identified was financial support. Dana? And so as we continued these conversations and we looked through our community partners, we strengthened some of the collaborations that we had, but we also looked through to our national bodies for assistance. And we were fortunate to be able to work through the Emergency Community Support Fund, which came from the federal government and was part of our Community Foundations Canada initiative. There's 191 of us across Canada, and it was a partnership with the National Red Cross as well as United Way. And together we all worked to flow emergency funding to our charities. And over the course of a few months, we accepted applications and flowed funds. And from the Windsor Essex Community Foundation alone, we were able to facilitate $990,000 to charities in Windsor, Essex, serving our most vulnerable populations. And this is on top of what United Way and Red Cross was able to distribute in Windsor and Essex County. Dan, next slide. And as we continue to look at what the needs are, one grant is not going to help the charities sustain in a completely new environment. So through that national initiative, other projects were developed, which we helped to bring to Windsor, Essex. One of them is the Investment Readiness Program, and this program is helping social service agencies, nonprofits, charities look at how they can be social enterprises so that they are able to do the really good work of serving their vulnerable population, as well as making a profit to reinvest back into the organizations. The other group we know that has been unduly hit by the pandemic is women. And we were fortunate enough to be able to provide some funds in the Windsor Essex community through the Equality Fund. So the Equality Fund, we have been able to help agencies who are working, who are led by women and working to support women. And there was $140,000 donated over the last year to different agencies doing the frontline work, serving women, and $380,000 through the Investment Readiness Program to ramp up the work of organizations like the Multicultural Council, Cook Up, the Downtown Windsor BIA. Next slide. While we were flowing the emergency funds and these other projects, our partners were reaching out to us and saying, how can we help? People were calling us, corporations were calling us, and as well as the charities that we talked about earlier. So our foundation started our own emergency response fund. And many of the people around this table called us and stepped in to support this fund. And we were getting donations online and checks from ranging from $10 all the way up to $50,000. So we created a grant program within the Community Foundation. We've raised $150,000, and so far we have supported 12 organizations. Because what's happening with charities, they can't hold their bingos, they can't hold their usual events. So kudos and congratulations to the city for realizing that we have to find ways for our charities to continue to fundraise, to do the important work that they are always doing. Next slide. And the last grant that we have received and actually closes next week is the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative. And this is another federal funded program that is looking at how we gather, What kind of spaces do we need? And what are some of the infrastructure changes we need to be able to meet and gather safely and to provide a space to do that? And we're part of a consortium that reaches from here to Kitchener-Waterloo, where we are reaching out to charities, municipalities, organizations to say, do you need help finding new ways to gather, to reach out to your clients, and to come together as a community? So this year, we have been pretty fortunate in that the community has rallied. We understand that the need exists, especially for our most vulnerable, but we also want to focus on how we build back better and how do we become sustainable in the long term and create a stronger community for everyone that's involved. So that is a brief overview of what we've done to date. And over the last year alone, we were able to flow $1.63 million into the community to support these charities. And that has been an unprecedented year for us, but it's also to meet an unprecedented challenge. So thank you, Mayor Dilkens and the City of Windsor, for reaching out to support our communities and the support you're continuing to provide to those charities at this time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lisa. And on my behalf and council's behalf, thank you to the Windsor Essex Community Foundation. You've been truly invaluable partners and sponsors to many of the initiatives that we've undertaken at a city level and helped identify different opportunities and supporting mechanisms for local social enterprises. And I'm very thankful for you and all of the efforts that your team makes. So thank you for being here.
Our pleasure.
Next, I'd like to introduce Kevin Spafford, who's the Manager of Social Impact for Green Shield Canada. And of course, Green Shield has been a key supporter of City of Windsor projects and initiatives for many, many years. Just yesterday morning, as Brian was talking about the WFCU Center being converted to a mass vaccination site, today and yesterday and all this week has been open for vaccines for residents who are 80 years and older who have pre-registered. I was in the WFCU Center for a tour yesterday. And quite frankly, seeing the GSC logo proudly displayed in all of the rinks, it's a great example of how Green Shield's commitment many years ago is still benefiting Windsor residents today in entirely new ways as well. But I'll leave it to Kevin to provide an update on the ways GSC has been supporting residents since the beginning of the pandemic. Kevin?
Great, thank you, Mayor Dilkens, and thanks for including Green Shield Canada or GSC in this event. As many of you know, probably all of you know, Windsor is our hometown, and we've been part of the Windsor community since 1957. So I think there's a bit of a competition going with the Spitfires and the Community Foundation. So I think we're on top, but I suspect when my friend Eric here comes up, TD may have beat us a bit in terms of starting the community. But our mission is to deliver meaningful solutions to improve health and well-being. And so we really felt that we had an important role to play in supporting the community during COVID-19. And it's really appropriate to follow Lisa, whose organization is one of our key community partners, because really it's through the partnerships we have in the community that we learned about the urgent needs that arose, as Lisa mentioned, talking on the phone shortly after everything happened about a year ago. And at GSC, we've been in a relatively fortunate position. We've been able to weather the crisis from a business perspective largely, and through diligent work by our team, we were able to avoid any COVID-19 related layoffs. But we know the impact on Windsor and other communities across Canada has been devastating for many individuals and families, whether it's due to the downturn in the economy, dealing with sickness or loss of loved ones, or those who are already vulnerable before the pandemic. And so in discussion with Lisa at the Community Foundation, Lorraine at the United Way, and other community agencies, we learned about just how great the need for support was. And thanks Dana, you correctly predicted slide 2 for me, thank you. And so talking with the United Way and the broader coalition that was set up, we learned about the urgent need related to food security, as well as other supports to help people in vulnerable situations. So we decided to make a contribution of $50,000 to the United Way-led Emergency Response Fund. And in talking with Lisa at the Community Foundation, we learned about the struggle that small and medium-sized community service agencies across Windsor Essex were going through. And these agencies really provide critical services. So we decided to also contribute $50,000 to the Community Foundation-led Emergency Response Fund. We're really grateful for all the work that the United Way and Community Foundation did to mobilize community support, and for all the agencies that, to this day, continue to serve vulnerable people through such a difficult time. Next slide, please, Dana. We have a lot of passionate team members. They're always willing to step up and lend a hand. And so we were really excited about partnership with the Windsor Essex COVID Care Coalition to set up a Windsor Essex food helpline. And this was to help vulnerable populations in the community access emergency food support. And so working with groups including United Way, the city's 211 service, and the Unemployed Help Center, we were able to co-develop a community solution and stand up the helpline in record time. The helpline was really to provide a safe and responsive support to people who needed food assistance, including low-income families and seniors who were self-isolating and required access to prepared meals. So we trained 34 of our agents to support the helpline, and as you can see here, the impact was amazing. Over 7,000 kids and adults received food support, over 1,500 food baskets delivered, and over 700 callers received a pre-packaged basket at a drive-through food hub. And looking at the stats, we can see that over 30% of callers were seeking help because they were unemployed due to COVID, which really brings front of mind the urgent need that's out there. And our employees really just received a ton of value in participating in this program, and the response from the community who called in really left our agents feeling like they've made a difference in people's lives. So we're really happy to participate in that program. Next slide, please, Dana. Towards the end of the year, last year, the city and Leona made us aware of an opportunity to support a special event that Jason mentioned briefly, to showcase Windsor and provide entertainment to people isolating at home, and enhanced support being provided to one of our focus areas, which is mental health. And so we jumped at this chance to support this really special event, the Unity event, which not only included a special concert in Windsor live from the Capitol Theatre, but also inclusion in the From Ontario with Love New Year's special program advertised across Ontario and Canada. So got some really great profile for the city. We were really glad to be able to help bring people together while isolating at home, and also raise funds for the Canadian Mental Health Association. Dana, next slide, please. Given that the passion to help people stay safe and healthy is in our DNA, we leveraged our community partnerships across Canada to support communities at the grassroots level. So we are proud to support 14 communities where we live and work, partnering with 13 community foundations and 2 United Way chapters. We made financial contributions to emergency relief funds and other specific community initiatives. In addition to Windsor, also in Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo, London, Vancouver, Victoria, Calgary, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec City, Halifax, Moncton, and Algoma. Sorry for the long list there. But in addition to our financial commitment to support communities across Canada, we also wanted to provide support for improving mental health during this difficult period. So working with our partner, Mind Beacon, and a number of other sponsors, we sponsored a free digital health program called Stronger Minds, and it provided really crucial mental health support for all Canadians at no cost through online modules, videos, and quick tips. So in closing, I just really want to share that our company and our employees feel so grateful to be able to support our communities during this difficult time, and we'll continue to support Windsor in emerging from the pandemic and building back better in any way we can.
Well, thanks for that presentation, Kevin. And we're really proud. I'm really proud of Green Shield, its success, its roots here in Windsor, and how you continue to support the community. You're there at every turn, and whether it's Mila or Brent or the entire leadership team, they've been great to deal with. And what folks don't know is the conversations that happen behind the scenes. And early on in the pandemic, when businesses were closed and many were having to lay folks off and take extraordinary action just to preserve their businesses, Green Shield made a very smart business decision, but probably a difficult one internally, to keep all of the staff working and finding work for those staff. And board members were reaching out to me, the leadership team, saying, how can we help? We've got a full call center, not many calls coming in right now because physicians' offices are closed, dentists' offices are closed. Can we help with contact tracing? Can we help with anything? What are the needs? Let us know how we can help, and we'll be there to support. And that really is the spirit of Green Shield, and we're so proud to have you right here in our backyard. And Kevin, I appreciate your presentation today.
Thanks, Mayor Dilkens.
Next, I'm pleased to welcome Chris Caruana to the conversation. And Chris is the owner of several Tim Horton franchises in the City of Windsor. He's helped make certainly a lasting impression at Bright Lights Windsor, the Mayor's Walk, the city birthday celebrations, and many other events over the years. And we look forward to Tim's being the official coffee sponsor of the 2022 Can-Am Police and Fire Games. And I know I'm not the only one that sees the Tim Hortons van everywhere these days. Certainly a welcome sight to the hardworking frontline heroes that we have in our community. And Chris, I thank you for being here, and we'll turn the floor over to you, but also want to thank you for the spirit of partnership that you bring almost at every opportunity or any event that we have. Tim Hortons is there, you are there. And on behalf of myself and City Council, thanks for that spirit of cooperation that you always show, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Dilkens. I appreciate the opportunity to have us join in this along with the other panelists. I'd like to thank the City of Windsor for their ongoing support of Tim Hortons day in and day out. If Dana could bring up the slides that we have. And Mayor, I think you hit it right on the head when you said Windsor, even in the worst of times, always comes together. And I think that is what makes me proud to be part of this community, and always wanting to give back, and being part of an organization such as Tim Hortons that whether it be something local or national, in the case of COVID-19, that we're always getting behind our communities to show our guests and our neighborhoods that we're there with them. So as you can see in the slides, a big part of our response to COVID-19 was just giving that comfort and letting our communities know that we were there with them, whether it was product drops at the hospitals, at the labs, nursing homes, at the field hospital, at St. Clair College, having days for public service providers, whether it be GFL or NWIN. We had the Bell technicians out at restaurants for breakfast at one of our restaurants, a little makeshift drive-through with their vehicles. Just making sure that we showed our appreciation for those who kept things going in our communities. And this was just not in Windsor, it was right across the nation. Very, very proud of Tim Hortons corporate and how quickly they reacted in mobilizing our vans to get out into the communities and just do product drops throughout, and helping us locally as franchisees to support our communities as well. So if we can go on to the next slide. So our team members were very, very engaged, as they are in all community partnerships and events, whether it be a charity run or walk, which we weren't able to do this year, or doing product drops, Smile Cookie, helping raise funds. So here's some pictures of a Valentine's event we did along with Stat Magazine, where we were able to show some love and thanks to our frontline providers, where we provided some Tim Hortons mugs and gift cards to many in our hospitals and other medical facilities. So we go to the next slide. Another thing that we're very, very proud of, and this year more than ever, our efforts to help support food banks and other community initiatives. As has been noted many times by the other panelists, demand was at an all-time high for support. Something that really touched us, and me in particular, was the increase in the mental health needs in our community due to people not being able to be out and about or get the support that they needed. I mean, working closely with Maryvale and the Canadian Mental Health Society, I mean, the need was so large that, you know, we had no choice but to actually jump in and help as much as we can. I mean, a lot of these pictures were right around Christmas time, and I'm so proud of our local franchise owner groups, and there are many. In a matter of one email that I sent every year, we always sponsor the Toys for Tots and the AM 800 Cans for a Cause, the Coalition, the Downtown Mission. I sent out an email and literally in an hour, I had every franchise owner in the city stepping up with a monetary donation. And we were able to double our efforts with providing coats for kids and a van full of canned goods. And this was one of a number of drops that we made, providing support to the Downtown Mission, Sparky's Toy Drive, dropping off a truckload of toys as well as for the Toys for Tots. So just making sure that we were able to give back in every way that we could to help our communities get through this time. Dana, if we can go to the next slide. So here's some images of our Tim Hortons vans, and this happened not only in Windsor. They had these vans running day in and day out for months at a time through all communities across Canada, just bringing product and coffee just to help lift the spirits of those in communities and those that were keeping our cities and towns operating. So if we can go to the next slide. So a big part of it was both nationally and regionally. There was a reallocation of our budgets. I mean, as we know and was mentioned earlier, a lot of the galas, golf tournaments, large city events that would normally take place to help these great charities raise funds had to come to a halt. So immediately, our head office made the decision, and I think it was a great one, that those funds were going to be repurposed to help support charities in any initiatives that we could to get help that they needed. So as I mentioned earlier, Tim Days, Enwin, Gas, Bell, and then all the city facilities had from our Tim Hortons truck. We did product drops at grocery stores that were essential services, nursing homes, pharmacies, providers, police, fire, ambulance, and other community support groups. So the Tim's trucks were deployed, and then just taking on other fundraising initiatives to help fill the gap that was left in charity fundraising. We were able to work with Maryvale in doing Meals for Mental Health, where not only did it help the charity, but it helped a number of community restaurants that partnered up at no cost to the restaurant, just simply asking if they would like to make a donation to the charity as part of their regular delivery order. We just recently did one with T2B a few weeks back, and we're waiting to hear those results coming soon, working with Windsor Essex Autism Society to do a takeout event and a number of others. And this is something that I kind of would like to make a monthly event where different charities get an opportunity to this, not only to help raise funds, but to help many of the businesses and restaurants in the city that are still struggling. And it will be some time before they come back to what we would call normal. Virtual walk runs, we were able to continue to do some virtual walk runs. One in particular, the Tim Hortons night run, went virtual, and thankfully we were able to raise over $40,000 even doing a virtual format. I mean, we didn't get to do our beautiful downtown riverfront backdrop that the city is always so gracious at allowing us to do our event and light up the riverfront sky with our night run, but we were able to pull it off. Smile Cookie, biggest year ever. The city came out like we've never seen before and just gave back to the tune of $170,000 that was split between We Care for Kids and John McGivney. Was just amazing. Hoping that we can break $200,000 this year. Charities are yet to be announced, but we're hoping to hear soon. But great community initiative that we're so proud to give back. As noted in our pictures, just increased efforts at Christmas time to support the community, helping feed our community. And this is near and dear to me as, coming to Canada at a young age with my family from Europe. We all had our struggles, and for me, helping those who, with something as simple as, putting food on the table, will always be near and dear to my heart. We were helped, my family was helped, and I'll never forget that. So the new format events, which we were so lucky to take part in, I had an email earlier this week with the WIF group, the drive-in, and is this going to happen again? We were so happy to be part of the concessions, and all the proceeds from every ice cap or frozen lemonade went to the Windsor International Film Festival. It was great working with Vincent and the team there. The virtual fireworks that we got to take part in. And again, there's a number of other events, just recreating fundraising opportunities, online raffles with the gift card tree that we did with Maryvale. So just a number of initiatives that we're very, very proud of. So if we go to the next slide. So again, just highlighting some of the events that we've done, and just repurposing how things are done, and just going more of a virtual format, which I mean, going forward, I think for the next little while, we can keep developing this, and hopefully we can keep helping those who need it the most. Again, just some more events that we did. I mentioned the Meals for Mental Health and the virtual run that were basically all online, and still did very, very well with regards to fundraising. So thank you very, very much, Mayor, and those in the City of Windsor. We are always proud to be in our communities, and with Tim Hortons, we are all the franchise owners are local. We love to give back to our communities, and we're so thankful to have so many loyal guests, even through COVID. Our team members are so happy to see the regular guests come through the drive-through, and just a quick smile and have a great day. And so thank you very much for hosting this event. I think it's just so important that we work together to keep our community strong and support one another. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate that presentation. And I know you talk about the other franchise owners. I also know that you have quite a staff behind you and working alongside you. And I want to thank you and the entire team for supporting the city, supporting all the initiatives. And there's folks, there is a wide range of initiatives I'm talking about, and not just over the last year, but for many, many years. Chris and the team and all of the franchisees here have been really supportive, and we're thankful for all that you've done. Thanks for being here, Chris. Finally, I want to thank and welcome Eric Griggs of TD Canada Trust. Now, Eric is the District Vice President for TD in Windsor, and he and his team have been working closely with our city sponsor and partnership development programs to identify needs, to foster partnerships, and to get connected with community members most in need. Eric, welcome.
Eric, I'm sorry, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Knew somebody would do that today. I was hoping it wouldn't be me. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this panel today. Obviously, at TD, giving back to our communities is part of our culture. Through our global citizenship platform, the TD Ready Commitment, we aim to support programs and organizations that help build strong, inclusive, and resilient communities across our footprint. Obviously, 2020 was a little bit different, and as we head into 2021, we're still in a situation that's a little bit different. And as Chris pointed out, it was a time when we really needed to look at how we, more or less reallocated some of our corporate giving budgets. Our colleagues are also constantly looking for ways to support our communities. And when you see with TD, I think there's both, when I look at it, there's both the corporate side of it as well as the local side of it. So support their local communities through fundraising and volunteer engagement. COVID-19 has affected us all, but we know so many in our communities who are already struggling are facing even more challenges. In this critical time of need, our commitment to our communities is more important than ever. We need to stand with our communities and step up to support the organizations to working to address the needs of our fellow community members. As a direct response to the increased need COVID-19 has produced, TD launched a community resilience initiative. Dana, if you can just go to the next slide, please. This initiative has allocated $25 million dedicated to COVID-19 response and community recovery today and into the future. Through this initiative, we are supporting a variety of not-for-profit which are working to help members of our communities most impacted by COVID-19. Locally, we are able to provide immediate financial support to both the Windsor Essex COVID Care Coalition and the Southwest Ontario Aboriginal Health Access Centre. We also worked with our community banking team to direct funds towards the Multicultural Council of Windsor Essex Community, Hotel du Grace Healthcare Urgent Care Centre. And just a couple of weekends ago, we were able to take part in the Coldest Night of the Year walk and raise $21,000 for the downtown mission. When I look at these type of things, I look at it two different ways. There's obviously some support that's done at the corporate level, making sure that we're addressing some of the needs of our community. But there's also things that were very near and dear to the team at the local level. Most recently, our local branch managers came together to provide donations to Sioux Force Windsor Essex, a volunteer group sewing masks and caps for our frontline workers and vulnerable community members. When our local leaders heard the group had officially used their funding and were not able to purchase any more supplies, they stepped in to make a $9,500 donation to make sure that they could still purchase materials and continue the amazing work that they have been doing. We've really looked and said, what do we need to be doing through this time to support our community, as everybody else that presented here today. And I would say we're very proud of what we've done, but also it gave us great pleasure to be there to support the community, and I do greatly appreciate the opportunity to present today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And I appreciate, on behalf of the city, we appreciate what you're doing, what you've done, and the partnership that we have with TD Canada Trust. And certainly TD's generosity has kept many agencies delivering the services through the pandemic. And of course, the entire city is grateful for all of the care and commitment of you and your team here in Windsor, Essex. And I want to thank all of you that have joined us today to talk about just a few of the examples of how organizations and individuals are stepping up and supporting the community. And it's no doubt that rapid, compassionate, and well-developed COVID responses from each of you have made an impact that can never quite be quantified. You certainly have my sincere gratitude and all of City Council's gratitude, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all the residents to say we're all grateful for everything that you've all done, and collectively, individually it's made a difference, I know that, but collectively it's been very, very powerful. And we know that individuals and families and businesses continue to struggle in the face of COVID-19, but right here in Windsor, when we say we're in this together, I've said this 1,000 times in the last year, it is absolutely true. We are all in this together. And when the virus first arrived here, we helped launch a campaign with Tourism Windsor Essex called YQG Stand Strong, to remind us that residents, and to remind the residents here about what it takes and what makes our region special. And for me, it's that Windsor is truly, I'm telling you, it's truly the most giving and caring place in the world. And it's certainly an honor for me to lead the community and to help find ways for all of us to weather this storm. And there is light at the end of the tunnel, and with the vaccination starting and more coming by the thousands over the coming weeks, it's going to be, if you want a shot in your arm, a vaccination, you're going to be able to get it in relatively short order, and that will all help us get to a new normal, which I'm sure we're all excited to get to the other side of this and return to what we used to enjoy about a year ago, or a little over a year ago. So thank you to all that have joined here on the call. I appreciate your commitment to the community. And Dana, I'll turn things back to you for questions and answers.
Thanks very much, Mayor Dilkens. Members of the media, if you do have a question for any member of this panel today, please take a moment to use the raise hand function in Zoom and you will be called upon. The first question comes to us from Rob Hindy. Rob, please go ahead and enable your microphone.
Drew, just a quick question on what you said right off the bat in regards to Lanspeary. What kind of response are you in the city anticipating?
Well, we'll just have to see. We were happy to open this up this year, and council recognized on budget night that we wanted to continue with the initiatives that help support all of the outdoor activities that we saw last year and sort of that patio culture. This year we're calling it, last year was the year of flexibility. This is the year of recovery. And we want to continue to support those initiatives. And one of the things that I know people enjoyed was being able to go to Lanspeary Park. Windsor Eats had set up and organized an event there for multiple weekends. And council provided that space for free and allowed them to do that. And it was a great venue for people to go outside and get outside after being locked down for a period of time. And so we're going to continue to allow Windsor Eats to use some weekends, but what we wanted to do was also open this up for charities that we know have been struggling over the last year to do fundraisers and allow them to be creative and come forward saying, we will allow you to use Lanspeary Park and the space that's covered there as well for craft beer markets, food halls, whatever your fundraising initiative is. Hopefully we can have a weekend where it's something different every weekend and the community is really excited about. So we'll have the applications, not that we'll have, they're online now. If you go to citywindsor.ca, you can get the application and go back to your charity and see whether you can get the folks to come together with some great ideas. Submit your application by mid-March. The deadline's on there. I think it was the 19th. And we'd love to review all of those applications and put together a weekend of programming from the spring until probably the end of October that will allow people to raise some funds to keep the organizations going until we can get everyone a shot in the arm and move forward together.
So you mentioned end of October as the end date. Is there a start date? Are you hoping maybe the May 2-4 weekend there or even before that?
I think we would be open to starting even before that. So if the weather breaks and it's really nice here in April, which it often is, if folks want to set something up in the spring, we would work with them to try and use that space. And if, to the extent they can raise funds and help their charity, that is what we really want to do. That's the spirit behind this. And what City Council wants to see is us supporting the community to get back on their feet in 2021.
We'll bring Rob back on for a follow-up question. Rob Hindy, go ahead.
Drew, kind of off topic, but maybe on topic as well. The province announced today additional funding for municipalities, an additional 500 million that said the money will be used to assist municipalities. Just wondering, do you know if we will be getting any money here?
Well, it's actually a timely question because as we were in the middle of this call, an email popped through from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing with Windsor's contribution, which was just a little over $8 million. And so we're quite pleased to see that. What we don't understand, and as you know, Rob, we have a $38 million projected deficit to the end of the year related to COVID. And what we don't know is the province has already announced $5 million, 5.1 at the end of 2020 to offset expenses in 2021. We're not sure whether this is an additional $8 million or an additional $3 million over the 5. So we're just trying to get clarity on that. But either way, it's a positive step to help fill the hole that we know we're going to have with, of course, decreased revenues with the casino, the airport, and the tunnel operations in much different positions today than they were a year ago. And certainly no revenues from community centers and all of the rentals that we have, those revenue streams have gone away. And then of course, all the increased in expenses that most organizations are experiencing with PPE, extra cleaning, and the things that we all have to do to keep our guests and our staff and our citizens and customers safe. So it's a great first step, and we look forward to continuing to work with our partners at the province and the federal level to make sure we can fill that $38 million hole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. That seems to be all the questions that we have from our members of media. So we will conclude. Thank you, Your Worship, panelists, members of the media for joining us today. Following this Zoom, a recording of the meeting will be available on the City of Windsor Facebook page for anyone not able to tune in live. Thank you to everyone for your participation today and stay safe.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you.